Okay, I feel like 2023 was a mixed bag. You know what else was a mixed bag? The reception to this video. My Game of the Year 2023 video received quite a bit of attention, and it has a mix of likes and dislikes. The majority of those dislikes coming most likely from people that are mad that I didn't play Baldur's Gate 3. While gentlemen like this understood that the video reflects my own opinions, not facts, and simply recommended that I play Baldur's Gate 3, others got mad that I picked Tears of the Kingdom because I haven't played the true Game of the Year. Yes, Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. But here's the thing. When voting for the Game Awards became live, I voted for Tears of the Kingdom because I wasn't going to vote for a game that I haven't played. But even though I voted Tears of the Kingdom, I already knew that Baldur's Gate 3 was going to win because it was obvious. After I thought enough was enough, I dropped everything and ASAP bought Baldur's Gate 3 and played it a fair amount over the holidays. You need to understand, however, that this video you are watching right now is coming from the point of view of someone that knows very little about Dungeons & Dragons. I went and saw that new movie that came out last year with my best friend, and I genuinely enjoyed the movie. But I had to do some research on D&D when I got home. Things like locations, and if the hither thither staff is an actual item. I didn't even know what that panther flytrap monster was called until I looked it up and found out that it's called a displacer beast. I know very minor things about D&D, so I wasn't completely in the dark. I know that Dungeons & Dragons is a role-playing game where dice rolling and a game of chance is involved. I know what bullywogs and beholders are, and I know that magic missile is a spell that never misses. So... there we go. The game starts with you in the captivity of a mind flayer sticking a mind flayer parasite into your eyeball. And then, character creation. I'm a sucker for any game that allows you to create your own character, and Baldur's Gate 3 offers a large variety of options. You can select your race, class, subclass, background, facial structure, hairstyle, etc. For my first character, I made a half-elf wizard with a subclass of conjuration. And then the ship I'm being held on gets attacked by devils. Something tells me my Mind Flayer captors didn't take mass destruction of their property into account when they went around abducting people, because some stuff happens and we end up in a crash landing. I wake up on a beach and find Shadowheart, who was one of the prisoners on the ship, though Lae'zel has gone missing. We walked forward a bit and then ran into these things called intellect devourers that somehow survived the crash, which I kept dying to over and over and over, until finally I beat the dang things, which makes me need to bring up the fact that this game is hard, like really difficult. I started the game on normal difficulty, which was challenging enough on its own, but there were times that I had to lower the difficulty for the sake of progression because I wanted to record enough footage for this video, and even on the easiest difficulty I was having trouble. Difficulty aside, however, Baldur's Gate 3 has plenty of clever creativity when it comes to battles. Some fights don't even have to happen and you can just talk your way through it, albeit sometimes with rather hilarious situations.
Food, not food. Friend.
But when a battle becomes active, it turns into a turn-based strategy scenario. Allies and enemies alike have 3 things that they can perform in battle. Basic actions, which are highlighted in green, bonus actions, which are highlighted in orange, and moving a limited distance to a good position. Actions and bonus actions come from a selection of attacks, casting spells, and traversal. When it comes to spells, magic users can use basic spells as their basic action, or special learned spells that use up a limited number of spell slots that they have. And these spell slots can only be replenished by using Arcane Recovery or by retiring to your camp for the day. There are a variety of spells that can either deal damage, heal allies, add protection, or affect the environment. And as your party members gain experience points and level up, they can earn more spell slots and learn more powerful spells and/or attacks. One of the first level 2 spells I had my character learn was Cloud of Daggers, which was useful for fighting enemies in narrow areas, because some enemies are pretty stupid. The majority of my party members were spellcasters, but I also had Asterion, who specializes in ranged bow and offhand attacks, and Karlach, who is a beast with heavy-handed blunt attacks. The best thing about battles is how creative an approach you can take, while sometimes you don't have to charge in. Take, for example, when I reached the section of the game where I had to kill the 3 goblin leaders to halt an attack on a druid of Sacred Grove. For the priestess gut, I talked to her for a bit, convinced her that I needed a parasite removed, got her into a room alone, and then I had all my party members gang up on her and kill her in seconds. When it came to Night Warden Minthara, and I cannot stress enough how hilarious this was, I got her talking for a bit, sidetracking her by saying where the grove was. She turns to leave, and I shot the supports on the bridge that she was walking across, which, at that point, she fell to her death.
There's an illithid parasite in that corpse.
The last one that I had to deal with was Dror Ragzalin. Dealing with him had to be a bit straightforward, because I couldn't find a more subtle way to deal with him. But I snuck the whole party up to the rafters above the room that he was in, and pretty much angered him to climb up to the rafters with us, and wailed on him with all I had. And any other enemies that were in the room I picked off with ranged attacks. And if any of them climbed up, I just simply pushed them and let gravity decide things. I got an achievement for that! There were plenty of circumstances like that, and I had a good laugh. Battles aren't all that Baldur's Gate 3 is about, however. The strongest point is how well it plays into its narrative. This game has some of the smartest, most interesting NPCs in any game I've played. Some are friendlies, some can join into your party, and I've already mentioned how you run into potential enemies and you can talk your way out of having a fight. By the way, yes, I found the flying gnome. The deep gnome was killed.
You realize your bag feels light.
Huh? What's that mean?
You were just robbed.
Are you kidding me? But the most interesting characters, of course, are the ones that join your party. They all have their own characteristics, classes, and backstories that set them apart from every other character in the game. Albeit sometimes with hilarious circumstances. Shadowheart, the cleric, more than likely the first party member to join you, carries a mysterious artifact that others are seeking.
A group of us was sent to retrieve the artifact. Now I'm the only one left. I can't afford to fail.
Asterion, the rogue, is a vampire, and I found this out in one of the most short-lived cutscenes possible.
I wasn't going to hurt you. I just needed, well, blood.
He revealed that he's a vampire when I was trying to sleep. I trusted him further by giving him some of my blood, and when I thought he had enough, I did a roll to try to get him off of me. I failed, and my character died. Then I loaded an old save and told him off.
No, of course. Silly of me to even ask.
Gale, the wizard, has a health condition where he needs to consume a magic item every so often, otherwise something bad might happen. What that bad thing is, I haven't figured out yet, but I haven't taken any chances.
You don't happen to be a cleric by any chance, do you? A doctor? Surgeon? Uncannily adroit with a knitting needle?
Will, the warlock, is quite literally a pawn of a devil.
Provoke the blade
and suffer its sting.
Karlach, the barbarian, who is just lovely, by the way, has an infernal engine for a heart.
Careful, soldier. If I burn any hotter, I might explode.
All of these characters are so well written and so well voice acted that I couldn't find a reason to not like any of them. With all this praise to the game so far, could Baldur's Gate 3 do any wrong? The answer is yes. I want to know how this game has 10 out of 10 reviews across the board because I just don't see it. For starters, the pacing is super slow. Your characters walk so slowly that it takes forever to get anywhere. And while battles are fun, some of the fights you get caught up in can take like 10 minutes, while others can take maybe up to an hour. And it's not like I don't have patience. Persona 5 Royal is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's a turn-based JRPG that's heavily story-driven. The pacing in Baldur's Gate 3 moves along almost like a snail covered in tar. And like I said, it's got a fair amount of difficulty, and I got plenty of game overs. Meanwhile, the narrative, while very, very good, gets sidetracked very easily. While turning your attention to something else and exploring is a good aspect in hindsight, you'd almost forget the urgency of your character's predicament. The story literally starts with you getting a mind flayer parasite stuck in your head. Unless removed, within a matter of days, you'd turn into a mind flayer. So the urgency is to find a way to get it out. And even when you think you found a solution, the characters offering it to you say things like, I can't do it, but there might be someone else that could. So you go to save that person, oh wait, I can't do it, but there might be someone else that could. Almost as if the urgency pressed on you isn't even present. But then, oh, my character has a guardian angel keeping them from turning into a mind flayer, who also has a parasite that they haven't removed yet. I found this as more of an annoyance than anything, and minor complaint, but this game also has occasional camera issues. Now, I am not saying that Baldur's Gate 3 is a bad game. It just has plenty of things about it that I can't see why it's the greatest game ever. If anything, I think that Baldur's Gate 3 is overrated, and there are plenty of other well-received games that fit under that category. The Last of Us Part 2? Overrated. Elden Ring? It is a fantastic game, but still overrated. The Witcher 3? Definitely overrated. Grand Theft Auto 5? 1,000,000% overrated. All good games, but overrated. And Baldur's Gate 3 is no different. But there is plenty to like about it. The combat system is very well constructed and strategic. The narrative, while very slow-paced, is very engrossing and engaging. The characters are all likable. And it's big. This is a big game. And I don't even know anyone that has actually beaten it. My best friend has played the game more than I have, and even he hasn't beaten the game. He just likes to screw around or make new characters. I am only about 25 hours into the game, and I've reached the section in the Underdark where we run into the Dark Dwarves. And at this point, I'm not sure if I want to continue or make a new character and try things in a different way. And this game is very good at reminding you that this is a Dungeons & Dragons game. It's like playing through an actual D&D session in video game form. If you love Dungeons & Dragons, then you would love it. But I am not a big D&D fan, so I don't enjoy this game more than most, and I hope people respect that. So, do I think that Baldur's Gate 3 is a good game? Yes, I do. Does this mean I'm dethroning Tears of the Kingdom as my 2023 Game of the Year? Of course not. The reason is simple. It is still the 2023 release that I had the most fun with. But I also don't think it's an untouchable masterpiece. None of the games nominated for Game of the Year were untouchable masterpieces, including Baldur's Gate 3. I have a very short list of games that I consider as untouchable masterpieces. My cons with Tears of the Kingdom are mostly nitpicks, but I'll quickly go over a few of them. When you're far in the game and you have collected a lot of materials and ingredients, navigating the quick item menu can take forever. These Zonai wings, they only glide for a full minute before disappearing, whether they have anything attached or not. I enjoy the peaceful nature of the Sky Islands, and they are fun to navigate with aerial traversal, but compared to the depths and the surface, the Sky Islands take up very little of the map. I like the idea of Link building his own house rather than buying a pre-owned one like in Breath of the Wild, but building your own house involves using only pre-built rooms that you can't arrange yourself, and in the end, it's very blocky and unappealing. Plus, this guy hangs near your house all the time. My dude, I appreciate you tending to my every need for my house, but I am sure that you have your own house to go to, so could you go away now?
Oh, no.
After completing dungeons, you can revisit them, but even though there are still enemies roaming in them, they feel so lifeless because the music stops playing. This game isn't perfect when it comes to technicality because, much like Breath of the Wild, there are a lot of frame drops, especially when using the Ultra Hand ability and when a lot of Zonai devices are in use. The shrines are fairly fun and challenging as they do require a lot of thinking, but they are visually unappealing. They all look so dull and gray. Tears of the Kingdom isn't perfect, but I still had more fun with it compared to everything else that came out in 2023. And to ease questions a bit, I'm going to end this video with my top 10 games of 2023, rapid fire style. Here we go. Number 10. F-Zero 99. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nintendo still does better Battle Royale games. Number 9. Super Mario RPG. A remake that doesn't stray from the gameplay of the original while also looking super pretty. Number 8. Hogwarts Legacy. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you should play this. Number 7. Final Fantasy 16. It's got a fantastic story and characters that take me back to Final Fantasy 6 in a lot of ways. Number 6, Spider-Man 2. Don't get me wrong, it's the best Spider-Man game in existence, but once you finish the story and all the side content, there's pretty much nothing to do. However, I think an upcoming update will fix that. Number 5, now bear with me, Baldur's Gate 3. It at least made it into my top 5. Great narrative, great characters, great strategic combat, but still slow-paced. Number 4, Persona 5 Tactica, my favorite strategy game from last year. The story isn't great, but thankfully you can skip it. And now we're in the top 3, starting with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's just fun. It put a smile on my face, as most Mario games do. Number 2, the Resident Evil 4 Remake. 2 remakes of beloved survival horror games came out last year, and Resident Evil 4 was the one that I enjoyed the most. And number 1, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I don't need to say much, it was awesome! Oh yeah, one more thing concerning Baldur's Gate 3. I found Lae'zel, yeah, she's dead?